Hello, I'm Beetle Destino, and welcome to another video. Today will be a very special video, as it will be the first in the series of the Beatles What If. This was the first What If I thought about. In this series, I think it's stuff that probably will never happen, but hey, let's have a discussion and see if it does. Maybe we get enough traction, Capital, EMI, Apple will release it. This one especially I don't think is going to happen. I think this one has far been passed, but today's very first episode will be on discussing follow-up to the Capitol Albums Volume 1 and the Capitol Albums Volume 2. We never got Volume 3, so let's discuss that in today's video. So yes, we never got a Volume 3. Part of it is, I think, just the timing. I think 2009 wouldn't have been far away. Of course, the Volume 1 came out in November of 2004, and Volume 2 came out in April of 2006. So that would have put it, seeing as they're kind of doing about a year and a half, 2 years apart, probably in 2008, and we were only at that point a year away from the big stereo and mono remastered box sets coming out. And I think again they were trying to probably centralize the albums on what was out there, even though in '87 of course they did kind of make that core collection and included Magical Mystery Tour, which kind of throws off the whole Volume 3 on this, as we will discuss. That I think might be part of it, and the fact that, you know, that release was also coming out very soon with those remasters. Of course, what would you put in that set? It's very obvious it should be obviously Yesterday and Today, and we'll de-butcherize it with the trunk cover there, and the US version of Revolver. Those are without a doubt two that would be included in my What If box set. Now the debate comes, do you include Magical Mystery Tour? And then the other one that seems to be the most common suggestion would be 1970s Hey Jude. I pulled out my parents' original LP, and that to me kind of is where the problem lies. Magical Mystery Tour has of course been widely adopted into the main core canon, and why would you put in yet another release when it is adopted worldwide as one of the main albums? I don't know if the mixes would have been that much different to justify it, seeing as the Capitol albums did go with the original Capitol mixes, and that is what makes these sets unique. Of course, in 2014, when the US albums box set was released, these were all included. Obviously these that I showed you here are my copies from that box set, but unfortunately these do not include the true Capitol mixes. These are basically just the 2009 mixes. That's part, you know, why I think people would like to see this set done, to get these with the proper Capitol mix on there. But what would the other two albums be? And that's where the main discussion is going to lie here. One option I've seen suggested that wasn't in the original Capitol albums Volume 1 or Volume 2 sets, but was included in the US albums box, would be A Hard Day's Night. The problem with this is the United Artists released soundtrack, and just doesn't make sense on that because it was never a Capitol album. It was labeled as a United Artist. So that one's kind of out. The other option would be going way back to the very first Beatles US album and do Introducing the Beatles. Of course, again, this wasn't related with Capitol, as it was a VJ Records release, and again, just doesn't make sense. Like I said, the Magical Mystery Tour, I honestly don't think this is an option because it's been in everything else. It is canon elsewhere. Another option would be the Beatles story. This I really don't think we need. This was perfect in the US albums box set as a special bonus, in that you didn't get released separately, and that's the only place that this should be included. Of course, Hey Jude / The Beatles Again from 1970, this would be a good option too, but again, it was released in the US box set, and I don't think the mixes would have been too much different on that one either than what they were when it was released in 2014 in that set. And it was also released individually too, which is something unique that the Beatles story doesn't have. So again, I don't see that that one should be included either. Another option I've seen would be the Sgt. Pepper's release. Slight difference to the album art with just that banner across the top as far as I've ever seen. I don't know if the mix was any different. I've never heard anything on that. So that's why I really don't feel like that's an option either. The other option I've seen is the Rarities set that came out on Capitol in 1980. That did include some pretty unique mixes on it, and I could see a strong argument for that. But I'm going to make an argument for another Capitol release, two other Capitol releases. That to me would make sense. I do believe kind of an underlooked market, and they would be truly on Capitol, whereas some of these other ones weren't. And the other thing too, they weren't ever reissued, and I think it would be kind of cool for this country to see a little bit of recognition. I don't know if it's the fact that I live just a little over an hour away from the border and I'm a little sympathetic to it. I'd love to see the Canadians get recognized with two of their releases that they had early on. They did obviously have the true first North American Beatles release with Beatlemania with the Beatles that came out in 1963, but that was just a slightly retitled and different album art, just a slight difference to the actual UK with the Beatles. So that one wouldn't really make sense aside from getting a reissue of the album art. But where on this Capitol albums would be unique would be to include, and this is the only one I've got a physical copy of, Twist and Shout. And then they also had Long Tall Sally. My poor copy here too. Obviously somebody had to make sure they knew who Paul, George, John, and Ringo were, so they wrote their names. I was lucky enough to find that in one of my local record shops here too. Like I said, I'm just a little over an hour from the border, so I'd imagine that that would have found its way down this way pretty easily. One of these days I'll add Long Tall Sally to the list too. But yeah, this is what I think should be in there. I believe we should include Yesterday and Today and do a kind of a cool thing like this with the two alternate covers. Maybe even do some like a little chase. The majority will have this cover, and maybe the first 1,000 or something would have this cover on it. Something to kind of build some excitement and a chase for it. But yeah, Yesterday and Today is a for sure. Revolver is a for sure. And yeah, my argument would be for Twist and Shout from the Canadian Capitol Division and Long Tall Sally. You're truly getting both Capitol record labeled albums, both North American issued albums, and I think it would be the most logical way to round out that final box set. But anyways, there's my first What If. Hopefully I kept this a little shorter. I feel like it went pretty well. Please comment. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know the 4 albums you would pick to go into the Capitol Albums Volume 3. And if you did like this video, please like and subscribe. But anyways, I'll be Beatle Destino, signing out.